People who have that kind of crazy strength, that power lifter strength, the guys that squat and deadlift 800 pounds, their muscles are like tree bark. I think the biggest thing about the training transitioning to jujitsu on from the training side rather than just being technically proficient would be that you're getting stronger all the way head to toe. And the only way to do that is to get each area specifically stronger with an exercise. And what I mean by that is if you're standing on one leg while you do all these different crazy things like we were talking about, laughing
Yeah.
about, it's cool, and you might have, really good frames if you're standing on one leg or something like that, but now it's so specific that you're not really getting upper body stronger, you're not really getting lower body stronger, you're not really getting the most out of it, where you could do some kind of overhead pressing motion with your feet on the floor where you get to use maximum strength, you get to use max strength units to press weight above your head. Then you could do accessory movements
Yeah.
to strengthen the muscles in the shoulder that get that lactic acid threshold up, whether you're doing presses, whether you're doing flies, whether you're doing laterals, whether you're doing bamboo bar work, bench work, incline, all kinds of different things, Bradford presses. And then you can
Yeah.
work single leg work, lunges, dumbbell step ups, safety squat bar step ups, squats, Bulgarian split squats, all these different things that you can do to really direct focus on one leg and strengthen that leg so that
Yes.
now you have strength, head to toe. You don't have anything when you want to strengthen certain parts of the body, all that focus needs to be on that part of the body or that exercise, whatever it is. If you want to do a maximum deadlift, you need to do it, safely, but you need to do it. The only way that you can actually perform it safely is if you do it with proper technique. But you need to have your feet on the floor, whether they're feet inside the hands or feet outside the hands, like a sumo, and you lift it straight up to a lock position. You know what I mean? When you're doing different, if you're doing B stance or these different single legs or anything like that, yeah, it has its place and it's a certain thing, but you can't replace that with a straight conventional deadlift or a straight
Right.
sumo deadlift. That's not to get stronger overall. That is what's going to get you stronger. So I think people, when they specify for the mat and then they lose that total strength build, which is what you're looking to get with
Right.
strength training, right? Um, the second part of it, what was the second part of it? That,
About conditioning. So like how
yeah,
do you focus on conditioning first of all, and then if you do, what are those components? And maybe you could do like a in camp versus out of camp
yeah.
view on that.
Out of camp is going to be just strictly like out of camp and in camp look about the same for me as far as like how the training's built up. Monday to Friday, we comp train 9:30 in the morning, then we do a session on the weekend. We throw in our lifts Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. That's
Yep.
how it stays year round. It's 300, you know what I mean? Unless
Yep.
if Christmas lands on a day that we're lifting, still going to lift. It's
Merry
how it goes.
Christmas.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? This is kind of how it goes. So,
Yeah.
um, the things that change when I'm in camp. So there's always a conditioning aspect to lifting, whether it's weighted carries, sleds,
Yep.
different things like that. High rep sets, there's sets with bands of up to 300. There's sets with the bamboo bar and dumbbells up to 30. There's jumps. There's all kinds of different things that are going to get the heart rate up, but really uh, build that muscle durability, build that lactic acid threshold, and that's a huge part of conditioning. And as
So
far as
much. Yeah.
cardio goes, what I tend to throw in are the longer ride times on an assault bike or longer
Yep.
times on the rower. I will mix in some sprints here and there, but I believe the sprints is a really easy thing. I mean, you just have to do something really hard to get your heart
Yeah.
rate up. You know what I mean? You can do it with anything. You could just, could do a couple sprints back and forth to get that heart rate up and get that kind of exhausted feeling. But I believe that getting that cardio in, especially I really like the Echo bike I have an Echo bike by Rogue I really enjoy using for this, but 15, 20, 25-minute rides at a certain cadence, or
Yep.
10 minutes trying to go, the biggest thing I've been trying to do is 4 miles in 10 minutes. Something like that
On the
where you,
Echo bike.
yeah, where you have
Yeah.
like
A masochist.
yeah, it's horrible.
It's fucking
It's
death, dude.
so horrible, dude. But
Wow.
something like that, it's like you have to work in pacing, which is something you have to work in when you're an athlete as well
Yeah.
as pacing for your matches. So you work in pacing, you work in, you know, time in a fatigue state, instead of just sprinting to get as fatigued as possible and then stopping and then doing it again. And it just constantly gets worse and worse. And then finally, you just can't ride the bike anymore. And then you lay down, and 3 minutes later, you're done, right? So
Yep.
instead of that, now, if you're exhausted at 5 minutes, tough shit, you got to pedal for another 5 or 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the cardio that I found when I implement works the best for me. It's typically something I do in a camp just because it on top of everything else, it's the thing that comes and goes the quickest. If
Yeah.
I were to take out a day of lifting, the strength decreases and the physical conditioning decreases way, way, way faster than it does if I take the bike out.
Yeah.
Within 2 workouts on the bike, I feel like I'm primed, I'm ready to go. And then when I take it out for 8 weeks, by the time I get back on it, I'm not like, I don't have smoker's cough or anything like this, and then I can't do it. It's something that comes and goes really quickly. So always that main part of my conditioning is muscle endurance, which is done at and through my strength training program, and jujitsu. Being able to
Yep.
do harder rounds and things like that. That's always going to keep me going.